There's a side of modern religion nobody talks about. Not the miracles, not the morals, the money. Because behind every sermon, behind every holy symbol, behind every non-profit ministry, there's a system running quietly in the background, a system built on revenue, retention, and repeat customers. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Today, we're not talking about faith. We're talking about the economy that grew around it, the business model that keeps billions of people tied to beliefs they no longer question. And the deeper you go, the more you realize, this isn't accidental. It's engineered. Let's pull back the curtain. The oldest business model on Earth. Religion did not begin as a search for enlightenment. It began as a practical system for managing people, resources, and power. In the earliest civilizations, temples did not resemble the places of worship we imagine today. They were the center of economic life. They stored grain. They tracked the harvest. They recorded who owed what. And the priests were not mystical guides. They were accountants, administrators, and managers of the most valuable assets a society possessed. Faith was not the core product. It was the narrative used to explain why these institutions had authority in the first place. This is the part people overlook. Before there was talk of divine love or sacred law, there was the simple question of control. Someone had to decide who received food during a famine. Someone had to decide which families held land. Someone had to mediate conflicts, settle debts, and legitimize rulers. Religion provided a powerful answer. It created a system where human decisions could be framed as divine will, and that framing transformed ordinary administrators into unquestioned authorities. What is remarkable is not that this system existed, but that its logic survived. Thousands of years passed, empires rose and collapsed, belief systems shifted and evolved, yet the basic architecture remained almost identical. Modern religions no longer store grain, but they store guilt. They no longer record harvests, but they track obedience. They no longer issue physical debts, but they create spiritual ones. The mechanism is the same. Keep the follower dependent. Keep the follower uncertain. Make the follower feel that they owe something that can never quite be repaid. And here is the rule that sustained this model across millennia. A person who feels unworthy never stops seeking approval, and a person who seeks approval never stops returning to the institution that promises it. Selling salvation. Every business needs a product, something tangible that people can buy, use, and understand. Modern religion offers a product, but it is invisible. That invisibility is the genius. You cannot touch it, measure it, or prove it exists. You cannot test it in a lab or return it if it fails to deliver. You cannot verify the results with evidence or experiments, and yet, you are asked to trust it. You are asked to invest your time, your money, your very life in something you will never hold in your hands. The offer is simple and yet irresistible. Give now, devote now, obey now, and receive eternal life later. The reward is ultimate. The delivery is guaranteed only after death, at a time when no one can check if the promise was fulfilled. It is the ultimate delayed delivery pitch, and humans have been buying it for millennia. The conflict is built into the product. You cannot know if it works until the final moment. You cannot demand a refund. You cannot exchange it for something else. Yet the scarcity of proof is not a flaw. It is the mechanism that sustains the model. Fear is the fuel. Fear of loss. Fear of eternal suffering. Fear of being unworthy. That fear compels compliance. That fear ensures loyalty. That fear keeps people giving, attending, believing, hoping, and returning, sometimes for their entire lives. And here is the deeper layer. People are not only motivated by hope, they are trapped by it. The invisible product becomes a kind of psychological contract. Once you have invested, the idea of leaving feels like losing everything. You are paying indefinitely because the cost of doubt is too high. And that is the brilliance of selling salvation. It is intangible, unprovable, and yet endlessly profitable. It is a system that transforms hope, fear, and devotion into a perpetual economy. Recurring revenue, the tithe. Modern companies spend millions dreaming up subscription models, trying to figure out how to make their revenue predictable, consistent, and recurring. Religion invented that model thousands of years ago, long before anyone thought in terms of recurring payments. The tithe is the earliest subscription, 10%. Every month, no cancellation button, no customer service to call when you change your mind. It is constant, automatic, and deeply embedded in the believer's routine. Tithing turns devotion into a predictable income stream. It transforms faith into something measurable, something an institution can rely on to survive and grow. In essence, it is a spiritual membership fee. The brilliance is not just in the money, but in the psychology. People do not think of it as a payment. They call it obedience, faithfulness, sacrifice. They call it a blessing rather than a transaction. That shift in language matters more than most realize. Rebrand a bill as a sacred duty, and no one questions where the money goes. The act becomes virtuous. The giver feels morally rewarded for paying. The system ensures loyalty not through contracts or threats, but through conscience and culture. And the impact scales further. Tithes fund not only the day-to-day operations, but expansions, projects, and campaigns. Buildings rise, ministries spread, and communities grow, all on the predictable flow of contributions. And the revenue does more than sustain, it legitimizes. The more people give, the more power and influence the institution gains. What was once a small, local system becomes a sprawling network of wealth, influence, and control. The institution becomes indispensable. And the true genius is in how invisible the mechanism feels to the participant. But the business does not stop at subscription income. There are layers above it, methods that multiply returns, and tactics designed to ensure the cycle never ends. And that is where the model becomes truly impressive. The upsell, donations, offerings, and special blessings. Like any savvy enterprise, religion does not stop at the base subscription. The tithe guarantees steady income, but the system knows that revenue can grow if it layers on upsells. These are not optional add-ons in the same sense as a product catalog. They are carefully framed as opportunities to demonstrate faith, devotion, and worthiness. There are building funds, mission funds, youth funds, special offerings, holiday campaigns, and miracle seeds. Each of these is presented as essential, urgent, or spiritually rewarding. Each one carries a story, a promise, or a subtle warning. And the brilliance lies in the emotion. Every donation is wrapped in feelings that compel action. Guilt, fear, and hope are the main drivers. People do not give simply because they have extra money to spare. They give because the messaging makes them believe God is watching, and that their contribution is both a moral duty and a chance to earn divine favor. Every sermon, every pamphlet, every campaign is carefully designed to activate this emotional response. The act of giving becomes a ritual, a test of loyalty, and a confirmation of identity. It is the only system where the customer feels guilty for not spending more, where abstaining is not an option because the social, emotional, and spiritual consequences loom larger than the financial cost. And the institution thrives on this tension. Revenue rises not through coercion, but through carefully orchestrated belief, psychology, and narrative control. Every additional donation strengthens the cycle, expanding influence and securing dependence. Yet the most lucrative part of this strategy does not come from these extra offerings alone. There is a deeper, subtler profit center, one that multiplies the effect of all these contributions and ensures the system keeps growing without ever appearing transactional. It is here that the business of faith reveals its most sophisticated form, the celebrity pastor economy. Today's megachurches are no longer just communities gathering for worship. They have become brands, carefully crafted and marketed to attract followers on a massive scale. They sell merchandise, they publish books, they organize speaking tours, they offer VIP seating. Some even offer premium prayers or special blessings for those willing to give more. Every aspect of the institution is monetized, and every action reinforces the idea that participation is both a spiritual and social investment. And the pastor is at the center of it all. This is no longer a shepherd tending a flock in a small village. This is a CEO with a following. His influence is measured in seats filled, in live stream views, in revenue per believer, and in the size of his social media presence. Faith turns into fandom. Worship becomes a form of parasocial loyalty, where admiration and devotion merge with the business model. People do not only follow a set of teachings, they follow the person, the brand, the image, the lifestyle, projected on screens and stages around the world. The transformation is remarkable. Spiritual leadership becomes a career, and the success metrics mirror those of any global enterprise. The more charismatic, the more visible, the more profitable the leader becomes. And when a spiritual figure achieves celebrity status, the business becomes nearly unstoppable. Revenue, influence, and loyalty all compound in ways that would make any corporate executive envious. Yet celebrity alone is not the apex of power. It is a tool, a stage, a method to attract attention and devotion. Behind the bright lights, the tours, and the media presence lies something even more potent, something that turns loyalty into dependence, admiration into obedience, and belief into a self-reinforcing system that keeps followers engaged, invested, and committed for life. That is the deeper force driving the modern religious economy, far beyond the allure of fame. Fear marketing, the original sales funnel. Every effective business knows that emotion drives action. People do not buy products because they are logical. They buy products because they feel something. Religion mastered this concept thousands of years before the term marketing even existed. Fear is its most powerful tool. Fear of hell, fear of punishment, fear of disappointing God, fear of being shunned or cast out from the community. Fear triggers compliance, loyalty, and payment. It shapes behavior in ways that reason alone cannot. And the brilliance lies in the feedback loop. The institution creates the fear. The fear motivates the believer. The believer returns, seeking relief, guidance, or reassurance. And the solution is always more religion. More sermons, more rituals, more offerings, more devotion. It is a perfect loop, a system designed to keep followers engaged, invested, and dependent. The fear is never fully resolved, ensuring that the customer keeps coming back. The more intense the fear, the more valuable the cure, and the more control the institution gains. Modern religion did not stop at basic fear. It learned to expand. Fear was not only spiritual, it became social, cultural, and psychological. The community, the family, and even the self-image of the believer are all leveraged to reinforce the threat. Missing a prayer or refusing an offering is not just disobedience, it is a failure with social and emotional consequences. Fear becomes omnipresent and invisible, guiding every decision from financial giving to personal behavior. And yet, it is subtle. It is never presented as coercion. It is framed as care, guidance, protection, or divine wisdom. The believer is convinced that the system is benevolent. The reality is that it is the oldest and most effective sales funnel in history. Create the fear, offer the solution, repeat endlessly. It is a psychological mechanism perfected over millennia, and it is how modern religion continues to thrive, scale, and expand without ever appearing to sell anything. Market expansion, from local churches to global brands. In the past, religions survived on small communities, on villages where everyone knew each other, where the reach of a sermon barely extended beyond the town square. Attendance was local, influence was limited, resources were scarce, the system was contained. Now, everything has changed. Religion scales like a corporation. Technology, media, and global communication have transformed belief into a product that can reach millions without physical boundaries. Live-streamed sermons allow a pastor in one city to lead congregations across continents. Apps track prayer streaks and encourage daily participation. Donation buttons are embedded in websites, social media, and even YouTube videos, making giving effortless and constant. Faith became frictionless. The business model became global. And yet, the core message remains strikingly consistent. We need more members to spread the message. It sounds noble, spiritual, and idealistic. But in practice, the message is about growth, expansion, and reach. Every new member is a new node in the network, a new source of influence, devotion, and often revenue. The goal is not only to convert hearts, but to create an ecosystem where followers sustain the institution. The message spreads, but what it really spreads is the business. At the center of this expansion lies a tactic more profitable than any single donation or tithe. It is the creation of dependency at scale. By connecting people to a global network, the institution ensures that leaving is costly not only spiritually but socially. Communities are built, habits are tracked, engagement is constant, and the system becomes self-reinforcing. The infrastructure itself generates loyalty. The growth strategy is invisible to the believer, yet it ensures that the institution is not only surviving but thriving. And it is here, in this global expansion, that modern religion reveals its most sophisticated and profitable mechanism, one that transforms faith into a worldwide enterprise. Monetizing community. People rarely stay in a religion because of doctrine alone. They stay because of belonging, because of the connections that develop over time, potlucks, support groups, friendships, shared rituals, a sense of identity. Religion understood this early. Lose the community, and you lose the customer. The human need to belong is powerful, almost irresistible, and institutions that tap into it create loyalty that is far more durable than any teaching. The community becomes the glue that holds everything together. It is the safety net when life gets difficult. It is the emotional anchor when fear, guilt, or uncertainty rises. People fear leaving because leaving means more than losing a belief. It means losing friends, mentors, networks, and social standing. When your social world is intertwined with your faith, the cost of questioning becomes personal, immediate, and deeply uncomfortable. Obedience and devotion are reinforced not only through sermons or doctrine, but through everyday interactions and relationships. This mechanism ensures dependence without the need for overt coercion. The institution is embedded in daily life. It becomes a source of joy, comfort, and support, and at the same time, a subtle regulator of behavior. Every decision, every doubt, every hesitation is influenced by the ties to people who matter. The psychological bond becomes as powerful as the spiritual one, creating a system where leaving feels almost impossible. And yet, this is only part of the design. The social networks, the friendships, the belonging, they are not accidental byproducts. They are carefully cultivated extensions of the business model. They ensure that followers remain connected, invested, and engaged for life. And when you look closer, the final layer of this system is even more profound. It is not just community that is monetized. It is the very essence of human connection itself, leveraged to sustain the institution across generations. When business becomes belief. Here is the real twist. Most believers have no idea that they are part of a vast, self-sustaining business model. They think of their devotion as purely spiritual, personal, or moral. And most leaders do not consider themselves marketers, entrepreneurs, or executives. They believe they are guiding souls, teaching truth, or serving a higher purpose. Yet the system runs itself, quietly, efficiently, and almost invisibly. The mechanisms we have traced, subscriptions, upsells, celebrity leadership, fear loops, social dependence operate whether anyone is consciously aware of them or not. Once belief becomes an economy, it takes on the traits of an economy. You protect it like an economy, you defend it, you justify it. You never focus on raw numbers or spreadsheets. Instead, you focus on narratives, traditions, and moral frameworks. The stories, the rituals, the doctrines become the language through which the system perpetuates itself. Every sermon, every teaching, every ritual reinforces the structure, even when nobody intends it to. The business hides within the belief, and the belief hides within the community, creating layers of reinforcement that are almost impossible to untangle. That is why modern religion is so powerful. It is not merely a set of ideas, doctrines, or moral codes. It is a financial and social ecosystem, and like any healthy ecosystem, it defends itself. Criticism is framed as heresy, doubt is framed as weakness, and questioning is framed as rebellion. The system has built-in immunity because it has intertwined psychology, community, economics, and identity into a self-protecting network. Which brings us to the final truth. To understand modern religion is to see it not only as faith, but as a complex machine. A machine designed to attract, retain, and monetize devotion. And once you see it this way, everything about the way it operates, grows, and persists suddenly becomes clear. You begin to understand the business behind the belief. Modern religion isn't just faith, it's structure, it's business, it's tradition wrapped around a revenue engine. And understanding that doesn't make you cynical, it makes you free. Because once you see the architecture, the subscriptions, the fear marketing, the loyalty loops, you finally realize you were never broken, you were targeted. And your doubts weren't rebellion, they were awareness. So keep questioning, keep thinking. Don't let anyone profit from your fear. If you value truth over tradition and clarity over comfort, subscribe. This channel exists for people like you. People who want to see the world as it is, not as it's sold. Stay curious.